and Megilat. אוקיי, אז בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח, והשם עלינו ברחמיו ירוויח. A bit of insight of the Megilat Esther. In chapter 1, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a few chapters, few verses from each chapter. You follow what I'm saying? To try to squeeze as much as we can inside the... We try and push as much as we can inside in a short time that we have. Let's start with chapter 1. In previous year we explained why does it start Vayehi b'imei Hashverosh. Vayehi, the Gemara in Masechet Megillah, page 10, folio 1, tell us wherever it's mentioned the word Megillah, it's a Lashon Tsar. That means there is a sorrow there. We see that the Megillah is a good source. But no. The Tsar that brought on a Jewish that decree to destroy them. That's in briefly we explained, but I would like to touch verse 3. I'm going to read it in Hebrew and then one of you going to read it in English. Bishnat shalosh lemolcho asa mishte lechol sarav ve'avadav hel paras umadai apartamaim ve'sarei hamdinot lefanav. Brian, will you read for us?
In the third year of his reign, he made a feast for all the officials and all his servants, the army of Persia and Media, and the nobles officials of the provinces being present.
Okay. The question is, we read it every year. Do we understand the question that there is? There is a very important question. The Megillah tells us, by the way, the Megillah we explained in previous year, been written by Mordechai Yehudi and Esther Malka. They wrote the Megillat Esther. But the question is, on the third year, that Ahashverosh was a king. Only then you decide to make a big feast, big party. Why? Why is it so important only on the third year? Why not before? Why not many years later? Usually, when is a king make the big party? When he been voted. Am I right? To become a king, that's when you should do a party. Nachon? Why Ahashverosh decide to make the party on the third year?
There was a prophecy that about coming back to basically the West Mikdash for 70 years, I think. Before the time was up.
So I'll explain. But before that, I'm going to give another explanation, another insight. Hazal explained, the Mefarshim explained like this, that on the third year that Ahashverosh became a king, he married, on the third year, he married Vashti Malka. Only then he married Vashti Malka. And he wanted to show, his strength, his power. Beside that, he wanted to show how beautiful his wife was. So the main idea was that Hazal tell us, why Dafka on the third year? Because on the third year, Ahashverosh married Vashti Malka. And that was a reason, good enough reason, for a party and to make the wedding party, because he married her. So he made the big feast Dafka on the third year. That's one opinion. The other most common opinion, like Yui here explained, we know that it was a prophecy, that after the destruction of the first temple, 70 years later will be built the second temple. Ahashverosh start counting when it's going to be, when it's the right time to build the Bet HaMikdash, and he was worried. But he didn't calculate it properly, and 3 years later, after he became a king, they found out that he was thinking that that's 70 years. So what happened? He didn't calculate it properly. And when he saw that they didn't build the Bet HaMikdash, because he hated the Jews. Ahashverosh didn't love the Jews, Rabotai. What did he done? He done the big feast, okay? To celebrate that the prophecy that been told wasn't right. That means that he tried to find a reason to celebrate only 3 years after he been appointed as the king of Persia. And he realized that he's not there anymore. So what's going to happen now? The prophecy is not exist anymore. Therefore, we can celebrate. But he didn't calculate the time. And we saw that after 70 years, they built Beit HaMikdash. Any questions so far about chapter 1? There's many more, but we don't have a lot of time. So I'll take 1 or 2 verses and then we'll move, if you don't mind. Yes, any question? Yes. Who asking? Me. Oh, Simon, yes.
Who told Achashverosh that this prophecy would last for 70
years? Achashverosh came after Darius. Okay? He knew that from year to year they heard. Sorry, he was the son of Koresh. Sorry, what am I talking? Koresh. So what happened? This prophecy was going from year to year. Just remember, the Jews was there. We have prophet in that time. Haggai, Malachi. They live in the same time of Mordechai. All of those prophets was there. Mordechai was member of the 120 member of the assembly. That's the Sanhedrin. So the prophecy was well known. Everyone spoke about it. You follow? Let's move to chapter 2. Let's see what we can learn from chapter 2. In chapter 2, we see something very interesting. I chose for you something quite easy on chapter 2, that it's not so difficult for us to understand. In chapter 2, where is it? No, I'm obviously not on the right page. Yes, chapter 2:10. Chapter 2:10, we see something very interesting. We see that here we're going to read that Esther HaMalka never told her nationality. Why? Did you ask yourself? Let's read it and let's see what it said. In chapter 10, לא הגידה אסתר את עמה ואת מולדתה, כי מרדכי ציווה עליה אשר לא תגיד. Meish, will you read for us? 10. In page 1254.
Esther had not told of her people or her kindred, for Mordechai had instructed her not to tell.
Okay, so in a pshat of Dvarim, if you read the pasuk, the verse, we know that Esther HaMalka didn't tell, didn't expose, didn't reveal her identity, her nationality, who's a nation, because Mordechai told her not to tell. That's simple. But if we look a bit deeper, if we look to the Midrashim, there is a Midrash Me'am Lo'ez, Yalkut Me'am Lo'ez, been written by Rabbi Yaakov Koli. Rabbi Yaakov Koli, okay, lived in Turkey, in Kushta, okay? And he wrote the Midrash Me'am Lo'ez. And he explained why it was so important that Mordechai command Esther not to tell her, not to reveal her identity, her nationality, her religion. Why it was so important? And the Midrash explained like this. The main reason that Mordechai told Esther not to reveal none of her identity, very simple. Because he knew what's going to happen after the death of Vashti. They was looking for another queen. He knew also, just remember, Mordechai was an officer in a Persian army. Remember we explained last week. Mordechai and Haman was officer together in the same army. Mordechai knew how much Ahasuerus loved the Jewish people. His hate towards the Jewish people was beyond. And we explained last week that the main reason that Vashti agreed to marry him in one condition, that he will stop the building of the second temple. Remember. So he hated the Jews. So Mordechai knew if Esther going to reveal her nationality, her identity, where she come, she's not going to even have a chance. Immediately, Ahasuerus will never accept her as a queen, without even seeing her. So as soon as she revealed that, there's a better chance. And that why Ahashverosh, in the end, chose her. Because he didn't know. When did she told him? Right in the end, in the last feast that she made. She revealed that she's from the Jewish nation. But until then, Mordechai commanded her not to say anything. That's Midrash Me'am Lo'ez, Yalkut Me'am Lo'ez. The other explanation, Rabotai, that I saw, that the main reason that Esther didn't reveal her nationality because she was worried. Because if she would reveal her nationality, who she is, it will be a problem. You remember Biktan Vateresh, that they planned to kill a king Ahashverosh. You remember they want to poison him? But they have a special language that they talk. And if she would tell that she is Jewish, immediately everyone will know that Mordechai is also Jewish. Everyone knows because it's a Mordechai Yehudi. And they're related. And if they would speak next to Mordechai, immediately he will tell the queen because he's Jewish. Even if they didn't know if they're related or not. It's come to tell you that HaKadosh Baruch Hu make all of that she wouldn't reveal. That Biktan and Teresh will speak their special language in the front of Mordechai. Mordechai spoke 70 languages he understood. And they was thinking that he wouldn't understand because they didn't know that he speaks 70 languages. But now that he spoke in front of Mordechai, they wasn't worried so much. Why? Because who's Mordechai? Another Jewish, another Nebuch. Chas v'shalom. No. When they spoke, he told the queen. And the queen immediately told the king. And that's how Ahashverosh been saved. So it's come to tell you that's two reasons. Number one, to give a better chance that Esther will be the queen. And from Esther will start the salvation. Number two, that Mordechai will be written in a book of memory. You understand what I'm saying? Because otherwise, Biktan Vateresh wouldn't speak. Because they will be afraid that he might going to tell Esther that was Jewish, and she will tell Ahashverosh. You follow? Okay. Now we have to understand, with all of that, we saw that happen a miracle here. Esther, even that she didn't expose, didn't reveal who she is, she didn't tell anyone. What happened? Haggai was one of the ministers that was looking for a wife for Ahashverosh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu make a special miracle here. What happened? Because usually, when you go and find a wife for the king, you want to know her history. When we married a wife, we want to know everything about her. With Haggai happened a miracle here. He so much like Esther that he didn't care which nationality she is, where she come from. He didn't care. He saw that she's a nice looking, number one. The personality of her was nice. He said, that's a good wife for the king. HaKadosh Baruch Hu make a miracle that Haggai, the saris of the king Ahashverosh, didn't go into detail with that. You understand? We never even look into it. But when you read the Megillah and you say, Esther didn't reveal her nationality, didn't reveal nothing about herself. But let's ask ourselves, when we get married, we will take every person? Never mind we king. Normal human being like us. We want to know who's the wife, who's her family. You understand what I'm saying? Here happened a miracle that Haggai, that was supposed to do all the homework for Ahashverosh, didn't even ask. You never thought about it, huh? That's the insights about this pasuk, to give us a bit of an idea how much miracle happening in Purim and happened with Esther and Mordechai and the Jewish people in Persia at that time. Any question? No. Let's move on to chapter 3. In chapter 3, verse 5, we'll see something very interesting that you can find on page 1255, 1255. וירא המן כי אין מרדכי קורע ומשתחווה לו, וימלא המן חמה. Peter, will you read for us?
When Haman himself saw that Mordechai did not bow down and prostrate himself before him, then Haman was filled with rage.
Now, I want to understand, from all the Jews that lived in Shushan, that's where was Haman, there's only one man doesn't bow down to Haman HaRasha. Is that make such a big difference to Haman? You understand the question? What difference does it make if Mordechai will bow down or not? Question number one. Number two, let's make the question a bit more difficult. In that case, Mordechai was willing to put the entire Jewish people in dire straits, because from that came the decree. What was the decree? Because he didn't want to bow down, it was a good now, Haman HaRasha, find a good excuse to kill and to destroy the Jewish people. Is that was a good excuse? So there's two questions here. You understand, guys? Okay, let's try to explain what's happening here. So one of the main reasons that Mordechai didn't want to bow down to Haman. You know why? For the simple reason. Haman HaRasha have an agreement with Mordechai that that's his slave. You know that? You didn't know. What's happened? We mentioned earlier that Haman and Mordechai, both of them was officer in the army of the Persian. Okay? You with me? Okay. What's happened? Haman HaRasha have his own, platoon, whatever you want to call it, and Mordechai have a platoon. They both was officers. It was a city that tried to cause a coup. And Ahasuerus sent Haman with his troop, and Mordechai Tzaddik, Mordechai Yehudi, with his troop, to conquer that city. But that city was surrounded with a wall, and it took a long time to conquer that wall. And it was far out Persia. So what's happened? The troop that Haman gone with, the food and the suppliers start to finish, because Haman wasn't such a good officer. The suppliers start to get finished. Haman approached Mordechai and he said to him, listen, our supplies gone low. I need food for my soldiers. Mordechai said to him, it's your problem. If you didn't know how to manage it, it's your problem. It's not my problem. He said, listen, if you're not going to give me food, my soldiers are going to kill me. Don't you understand? He said, it's your problem. They start to negotiate and he start to beg. Mordechai said to him in one condition, I will help you, but in one condition. I want you to become a slave. Never. Haman said, he said, okay, go to your platoon. Let's see what's better, to become a slave or to be killed by your soldiers. Haman didn't have a choice. He agreed to become a slave. But Mordechai said to him, not so simple. I want a shtar. I want a document. He said, well, I'm going to give you a document. He said, I don't care. I want a document that you're my slave. He said, I don't have a document. He said, you're going to tattoo on your legs that you're going to be my slave. And he done. So when Haman used to walk, Mordechai couldn't bow down. One explanation. Why? Because Haman was the slave of Mordechai. How can Mordechai bow down to his slave? You understand? That's one explanation. Other explanation was why Mordechai didn't want to bow down. For the simple reason, Hazal said that he had a tattoo of Avodah Zarah on him. So when you bow down, you're not bowing down to Haman, you bow down to Avodah Zarah. That's why Mordechai didn't want. And Hazal said, in the Midrashim, that when Mordechai used to see Haman, now I'm going to answer the second question. Why is Haman got so cross that Mordechai doesn't bow down? When Haman used to walk, everyone used to bow down. Mordechai not. Mordechai always used to stand in the front of Haman and used to say to him like this, remember the deal. You are my slave. I can't bow down to you. You should bow down to me. He used to do that. And that's why antagonized Haman HaRasha. So he couldn't kill Mordechai because it's not nice. So what he decided, he'll kill the entire Jewish people. Amongst them, he'll kill his master. He'll find a reason. You understand? That's why Haman was so cross. Second reason that we explained first, that the main reason that Mordechai didn't bow down, number one, because Haman was his slave. Number two, because he had a tattoo of idolatry, idols, and Mordechai didn't want to bow down to that Avodah Zarah. So now when you read it, it'll give you a bit of an insight about what we're reading in the Megillah. Any question? No. Let's go to verse, the same chapter, verse 16, okay? No, sorry. Chapter 4, I'm wrong. Chapter 4, okay? Page, I'm looking for the page here. Page 4, I think that I'm gone wrong here. I'm just looking for it. Yeah, chapter 4, right in the end. In page 1256, chapter 4, verse 16 and verse 17. And we'll see something very interesting that Esther telling Mordechai to do. לך כנוס את כל היהודים הנמצאים בשושן, וצומו עליי, ואל תאכלו ואל תשתו 3 ימים, לילה ויום. גם אני ונערותיי עצום. כן, ובכן אבוא אל המלך, אשר לא כדת, וכאשר עבדתי, עבדתי. Lionel, will you read for us?
What is the number, Rabbi?
Page 1256, 16. 16.
At the bottom.
16. Then his wife, Zerah.
No. Go assemble.
Go assemble.
1256.
Go assemble.
Yeah, I'm there. No, then I can't find that, I'm sorry.
Norman, will you read for... Oh, you find it, Lionel?
Sorry. Number 16.
Yeah. Go assemble.
Sorry.
Norman,
Assemble all the Jews to be found in Shushan and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I with my maids will fast also. Then I will go to the king, though it is unlawful. And if I perish, I perish. I'm sorry.
did you understand what's happening in that verse? Let's read it slowly. Esther HaMalka said to Mordechai, gather the entire Jewish people. Okay, number 1. And then, after you gather all the Jews in Shoshan, you must fast. But what did she say? Fast on me. Vetsumu alai. What does it mean you fast on you? Question number 1. Let's continue. Ve'al tuchlu. You should not eat. Obviously, if you fast, you don't eat. Okay? Ve'al tishtu. And you should not drink. I don't understand. When we fast, we don't eat and we don't drink. So why did Esther have to say that? Do you understand the question?
3 days.
What does it mean, Vetsumu alai? And fast on me. Why did she say that? Do you understand the question, Rabotai? Anyone have any idea? No.
Pray for me.
Pray for me, okay. Pray for me.
Yeah, because the role
So she can say,
pray.
please, Mordechai, gather the Jewish people of Shushan and pray for me. Why did she say, fast on me? The question is fast on me. The fast. Do you understand that? Brian, you understand the question? If not, please stop me. Sorry?
I do understand the question. I just don't know. Obviously, I don't know why.
We all wonder why. That's why I'm here, to try to help, to try to explain. So, okay. Let's start from the beginning. Every fast, it's definitely food and drink. Nahon? Pashut. Except the Tzom of Yom Kippur, that there is a different restriction on it. And Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. You know what I'm saying? That there we're not allowed to have a shower, not allowed to anoint, not allowed to have a physical relationship. Those are the 3 extra. You follow? But food and eat, obviously. So what's the chokhmah here? What is the gansel? What are you trying to tell me, Esther? And then she said, Tzumu alai. So the Midrash, Hazal explained what's happening. That night was Tetvav, Nisan. That means Pesach night. Tzumu alai. Don't eat. Don't eat matzah and don't drink the wine. Not you and not all the Jews in Shushan. And then she said, Tzumu alai. Fast on me. If you think that you have Avera, that you're not keeping eating matzah on Pesach and drinking the 4 cup of wine, I'll take the sin on me. That you're fasting on me. So she said to them, that Pesach night, we're not going to eat matzah, we're not going to drink the 4 cup of wine, and we're going to fast. And if that's going to consider Avera, I'm willing to take that Avera. Fast. And Hazal say, from here we learn that when the Jewish people in Dire Straits, when there is a decree on the Jewish people, before they should go to war, they should fast. Why? Because the fasting, tearing all the bad decree, Hazal say in heaven. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tear it. So from here we see the power of fasting. When we fast, we should say thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because Hazal tell us to fast, to tear our decrees. That's what we have quite often. So now, what's happened here? It was Pesach night. Esther HaMalka told Mordechai, gather all the Jewish people in Shushan and tell them that I'm asking, please don't eat, don't drink, don't eat the matzah, don't drink the 4 cup of wine, rather fast. And not only that I will fast, me and my girl servant also will fast. And if you think there is a negative, a positive command that you didn't fulfill, because it's a mitzvah from the Torah to eat matzah and Pesach, I will take those averot. Now you understand what does it mean, Vetsumu alai? Al tuchlu ve'al tishtu, you're not allowed, please don't drink, don't eat. Obviously it's a fast. To teach us that was Erev Pesach. Any question? No. So the question that many of the Mefarshim ask, how come that Esther have this kind of initiative to take on herself that she can break Pesach? You understand what I'm saying? How can you break Pesach? Pesach is mitzvah deoraita. It's a mitzvah from the Torah. It's not rabbinical. And Esther And Esther HaMalka come and say, don't keep mitzvah deoraita. Do you understand the question? Who given her the right? Do you understand? That's what Hazal asked. So Hazal explained. Esther say the sides, she said to herself, one and one. If they're not going to fast in Pesach, not going to be any more people to fast. Do you understand? Because the decree was to kill every Jew. And 127 countries that the Ahasuerus was the king. And to kill them all in one day. How can you kill so many people in one day? Yemach Shemo v'zichro, Hitler couldn't do that. So how can you kill so many? You know how? Haman HaRasha was so wicked. Rabotai, listen how he planned. That's Amalek. He planned it like this. He said, you're going to kill all the Jews in one day. I'm going to give you money. Every person, every Jewish person that you will kill, I'll pay you for it. So what he done, he put ransom on every head of a Jewish person. As much that you kill, you get more salary. You kill, you become rich. Do you understand the idea here? That was Haman HaRasha. So now when we read in the Megilat that he said, Laharog et kol HaYehudim, to kill all the Jewish people in one day. He said to everyone, as many more head that you bring me, you get commission. You understand the plan? Ma Shemo v'zichro. We'll move now. Let me just see. I would like to move to find a nice one. Let's move to chapter. Well, we're going a bit over time here. Let's go to verse 6, verse 1. 6, verse 1 in page 1257. And that's the famous thing that we read. בלילה ההוא נדדה שנת המלך. ויאמר להביא את ספר הזיכרונות, דברי הימים, ויהיו נקראים לפני המלך. Philip, will you read for us?
That night sleep eluded the king, so he ordered that the record book, the Chronicles, be brought and be read before the king.
Okay. That night, the king didn't sleep. What's happened that night? That night that they put the decree, okay, none of the Jewish people slept. The Midrash says, because him and Haman have Hashverosh and Haman have a feast, and on that feast they decide the decree on the Jewish people to kill, to destroy every Jewish. What it means, Balayla Hahu Nadeda Shenat HaMelech. Dafka on that night, Nadeda Shenat HaMelech. So Hazal explained, wherever it says HaMelech, Behei HaYidi'ah, referring to the Almighty, not to HaMelech Ahashverosh. When it says HaMelech Ahashverosh, referring to the king Ahashverosh. But when it's mentioned HaMelech, referring to the Almighty. What's happened here? Akadosh Baruch Hu can't sleep. But David HaMelech say, Hine lo yanum velo ishan shomer Israel. So what are you telling me? You understand the question? What's happened here, Hazal say? At that night, Akadosh Baruch Hu doesn't hear the Jewish people celebrating Pesach. No one speak about the Haggadah. No one talk about the Exodus of Mitzrayim. No one sing Man Ishtana. What's happening? Akadosh Baruch Hu, Hazal said, and Mefarshim explained, ask his angel in heaven, what's happening tonight? My children not celebrating Pesach? Where's my children? Where's the matzah? Where's the 4 cup of wine? Man Ishtana? No one. Quiet. Hazal say, Balayla hu nadeda shenat hamelech. Esther HaMalka and Mordechai done that in Pesach night? To wake up Kadosh Baruch Hu to have mercy on us. That the attribute of mercy will start act. Why? By that we're not celebrating Pesach, to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you're going to accept and agree to that decree that Haman and Ahashverosh put, you're not going to have no one else to. Do you understand? That's what it means. Balayla ahu nadeda shenat hamelech. It doesn't say Hamelech Ahashverosh. He says Hamelech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now when we read those things, we have to understand who was Esther, who was Mordechai. We just ring about Esther HaMalka. Everyone think that she was just another beautiful, Chas v'shalom, just a beautiful looking woman. What about her wisdom? What about the holiness? Mordechai Yehudi, do we understand who he was? He was a member of the Great Assembly, the Sanhedrin. He was a member of the head of the Sanhedrin, Rabotai. Now we understand all the secret of Megilat Esther. It's called Megilat Esther. The Megillah of Esther. Why Dafka Esther? Where is Mordechai? Why didn't say Megilat Esther veMordechai or Mordechai veEsther? Did you ask yourself? Because everything in this Megillah is hidden. Esther, there is Esther be'alef, there is Esther be'hei, hidden. Everything that happened in Purim was hidden. From the moment that it started, and we explained in previous year, you know, all of that miracle of Purim took 9 years. We don't realize it. Everything happened behind the scene. Nothing looked straightforward. That's what Megillat Esther come to tell us. And that's why it's called Megillat Esther. That everything, all the miracle, didn't look to the open eyes. Everything happened behind the scene. Mordechai and Esther, all what they done behind the scene. Should we do one more and that we're going to conclude in chapter 7? In chapter 7, verse 7, that's going to be on page 1258. And it said like this, ותאמר אסתר, איש צר ואויב, המן הרשע הזה. והמן נבעט מלפני המלך והמלכה. Okay? And then, I read 6, And verse 7, והמלך קם בחמתו ממשתה היין אל גינת הביתן, עמד לבקש על נפשו מאסתר המלכה, כי קלטה אליו הרעה מאת המלך. Lionel, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay.
If I got it right, the king rose in a rage from the wine feast and went into the palace garden while Haman remained to beg Queen Esther for his life. For he saw that the king called evil determination. The king evil determination against him was final.
Okay. So here we see that the Megillah tells us that suddenly the king Ahashverosh got up angry. What are you getting angry? You knew exactly what you're planning with Haman. Although you given the ring to Haman to seal, to stamp those letters that he sent. You agree with Haman that for every Jews that they're going to kill, Haman going to pay him. So Ahashverosh knew. Why do you suddenly get up angry, pretend? What's happening here? Do you understand what's happening here? Anyone have any idea? Why did Ahashverosh suddenly got so cross? He knew what the decree was, Haman. He was with there. He agreed with him. והעיר שושן נבוכה. That Haman and Ahasuerus said to drink together after they decide to kill all the Jewish people. Now, it's come and tell me, Shem, the Nebuch, Ahasuerus got angry. What's happening here? What, are you playing game? So, Rabotai, listen what the Midrash says. The Midrash says something very expensive. Ahasuerus knew exactly who was the man. Ahasuerus knew all the plan. Ahasuerus wanted to kill the Jews exactly like Haman. It's just that politically it wasn't the right move that the king will kill the Jewish people. You follow? So he finds someone to do the dirty job. But when Haman done what he done, what has he done? Haman was the one that suggested to kill Vashti Malka. You remember? Vayomer memuchan. Memuchan, if you look at Rashi, hu Haman. Muchan lapur'anut. That him himself told Ahasuerus, he given him the advice that your king Vashti didn't listen to you, you must kill her. And for that, Ahasuerus kept a grudge and hate for Haman. How do we know that? That Ahasuerus asked the Jewish people, Vayomer lahachamim. Ahasuerus asked the Jewish people, what should I do? The sages. What should I do? They say, listen, we don't know. This is too complicated for us. Because they say, whatever we're going to say, Ahasuerus is going to find an excuse to find anything to punish us. So they got out of it. Haman said, killed her to punish her. Ahasuerus never forgot that. And he hated Haman in his heart. So now, he come to the feast, smelly, stink. What's happened? He took Mordechai, you remember? And he was leading the horse, and he was saying, Kacha ya'aseh la'ish asher hamelech hafetz bi'ikaro. And suddenly, the daughter of Haman, that was sitting on the top floor in his flat, saw someone on a beautiful horse, and someone going in the front of it and screaming. She couldn't see exactly who she is. What has she done? In the olden days, they didn't have a running toilet. So she took, you'll excuse my language, the pot with all of this, and she poured it on that man because she was thinking that that's Mordechai. And the next thing, her father looked at her, and she saw his eyes. She said she was so frightened that she committed suicide. She jumped from the balcony, and she died. So when Haman walked into the feast, that the officer of Ahasuerus sent to bring him, he was smelly. Already the thing was boiling. You coming to the feast of the queen, smelly and stink. So Ahasuerus gone out to take fresh air. While he was taking fresh air, he see the children of Haman destroying his rose garden. Hazal explained it wasn't his children, it was demon that dressed like them. So he was so cross. When he turned around, he see Haman falling on the bed of Esther, because the Malach Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, pushed him in. So now he said, now I understand what you're planning to do. You killed my queen. Now you want to take my other queen. You want to be the king. And now he got really angry. It's not that he didn't understand what Haman planning. The main reason that he was angry, because he started to understand, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in his mind, like he's planning to take his queen. You follow? And that's what it say, that Ahasuerus, ve'amelech kam behamato, and the king stood up with his anger. What anger? That number one, he remembered that he killed his Queen Vashti. Number two, that he came smelly and stinky to the feast. And then Nocha, his kid, destroying the rose garden. And number four, he's trying to take the queen while I'm still alive. You follow? So when we read the Haggadah, sorry, Norman? Yeah, please God that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will continue to kill our enemies that planning, that trying to destroy us, that he should kill them the same, like he get rid of Haman and send us Mashiach Tzidkenu b'mera b'yameinu amen ken yeh ratzon.